In my book, I talk about the dangers of religious extremism, and I use one particular state as an example. Well, I talk about multiple states, but there's one that I really focus on, and this is arguably the most religious state in history. It is a state where the most sadistic genocide occurred. When I say this, I mean that no other state had a more sadistic genocide, meaning that it was on the same level as the Armenian genocide, as the rape of Nanking, meaning that there was mutilation was widespread, torture was widespread. That's what I mean when I say that argument. So in this very religious state, there was a genocide happening. Why? Because this is what happens when religious extremism is taken to the zenith degree. We're also seeing that this is what's happening in Israel right now. It's actually, there's some uncanny similarities. You see, this state was also founded right around Easter, and they took it as a sign that it was God's providence, that because it occurred around Easter, then God must be behind it. Israel had the same thing. They started their killings around the Jewish holiday of Purim, and they took it as a sign that it is God's providence, that God is leading this movement, this regime. So we can just see how these beliefs fuel extremely brutal actions, because it is what happens when one believes one is exceptional because they believe that God is with them, or God is behind them, or God is leading them. We know that when one believes these things, when it's taken to the zenith degree, coupled with an attitude of the other people don't have God with them, that it oftentimes leads to outright genocide, to outright mass murder. And this state that I'm talking about, it's actually not an Islamic state. It's not an Israeli state that I'm talking about. It's a Catholic state. So I'm actually talking about the Croatian Ustaše, who were devout Catholics. Their leader, Ante Pavelic, was such a devout Catholic that he had his own private chapel and his own two personal confessors. This was the same man that ordered the murder of 500,000 to 700,000 Serbian Orthodox. He killed them because, according to Catholic dogma, Orthodox Christians are schismatics. This dates back to the Great Schism, when the last two remaining Christian churches broke off into two. Constantinople being the Eastern Byzantine Orthodox Church, and Rome being the Western Roman Catholic Church. So ever since the Great Schism, it has created a huge divide between the Orthodox Christians and the Catholic Christians, to the point that Catholic Christians don't even regard Orthodox Christians as real Christians. And we see this time and time again when we look at the data, when we look at the quotes, the sources that I've analyzed in my book, that this is exactly why the Vatican ordered a re-Christianization campaign, or a Christianization campaign, otherwise known as a crusade against the schismatic Orthodox Christians in World War II. This was the impetus, this was the drive behind this genocide, is that we need to make Croatia Catholic by any and all means necessary. And they were using King Tomislav's medieval kingdom as their inspiration. They were using those borders as their inspiration. And they called this fascist state the independent state of Croatia. It was absolutely not independent. It had backing from the Vatican, from Mussolini, from Hitler. So why do we get the word independent? Well, because it's independent from the Orthodox, from the Byzantines. So everything is in relation to their relationship with the other Christian church, Constantinople. This is why it's so crucial to understand the Great Schism. And this is the very first chapter that I talk about, is the Great Schism. It's also important to understand the concept of ente morale Christianitantes. This is an absolutely key concept that ties everything together. It essentially means the shield of Christendom. And those people who were placed close to the Orthodox, actually, a lot of people think it's to the Muslims, but if you remember that the Catholic Church does not believe that schismatics are real Christians, then that would mean that the Orthodox are the first line of enemy and the Muslims are the other line of enemy. This is why these people that were defending Rome from the Orthodox were called the shield of Christendom. And the Vatican bestowed this term on many different groups. The Serbians even thought they were the shield of Christendom for Constantinople. The Croatians believe that they are the shield of Christendom for Rome. The Hungarians believe that they are the shield of Christendom for Rome. And this concept of defenders of the bulwark state, of the rampart state, of the rampart people is crucial to understanding the Balkans, to understanding Europe, because bulwark concept is very key concept of Europe. And what is Europe? Europe is really, historically and even today, it's the Catholic Empire. It is the Vatican's empire. That is what Europe actually is. This is why Orthodox Serbia has always been othered, has always been on the outside of Europe because of their schismatic nature, of their Orthodox Pravoslavic religion. So it's so important to understand this, and I talk all about it in my book. I go into a lot of detail about this concept that has been deliberately hidden by our schools and our media because it provides you the key to understanding the Balkans. And the key is obviously religion, because Balkan people, the Serbs, the Bosnians, the Croatians, they're all genetically more or less the same. So then why are they then what is the difference, and why are they always fighting? It's because of religion. Religion is the great divider. It's how imperialist powers rule and control people, at least historically, is through religion. And even today, it's still an extremely common method of controlling people is religion. Because when you invoke fear in people, it's a very powerful motivator. So religion uses the two coins of fear and the other coin of exceptionalism. A driving force of God is with us, God is not with them. It's always an us versus them divide. And we can see that when states are fueled by these ideas, that they can very easily be convinced to go and commit genocide, very sadistic genocide, because they're being driven by fear and they're being driven by the idea that they are special. Therefore, they can do no wrong. That's what makes them a saint. So a saint is someone who upholds the hegemonic belief of the empire. That is what a saint is in my book. Are they upholding Catholic dogma? If so, then they can truly do no wrong. Why? Because they are upholding the state's belief system. Conversely, if we see a heretic, which schismatics were on par with heretics, then we see that it's the opposite effect, that they can do no right. They can only do wrong because they are not upholding the state belief system, which I'm talking about the Catholic dogma. So this is how I frame my book of Saints and Heretics, Gateway Between Worlds. We know that the Balkans is an extremely crucial juncture. It's literally where East meets West. A lot of people think it's where Christendom met Islam, where the two worlds collided that way. But I actually break it down and I say it's where the two Christian sects met and that was the Catholics against the Orthodox, and that's the true definition of East versus West. Because remember, the Catholic Church hates schismatics and views them as bad as heretics. So this is what I talk about in my book, Gateway Between World Saints and Heretics. It's coming out likely next week. So go pick up a copy. It's going to be on sale for the month of April because April is a very important month. It's the month where Jasenovac liberation took place. So that's why I'm giving a discount only for the month of April. So this is why you got to pick up a copy soon. See you next time.